Hey man, did you get that music I asked for?
Oh yeah, Echo, go ahead and plug on in.
Ah, that's the good stuff.
Hey guys, half the season of Bad Batch is over and a new half begins. And man, what a start. Just a reminder, spoilers alert. The Bad Batch are all super worried and are desperately looking for Omega around Braca, with Crosshair on their tails. Echo sort of confronts Hunter by saying, "The bounty hunter is long gone by now," and then they make the jump into hyperspace. This leaves a very disappointed Crosshair. Just to make the comment, you get to see his face, and that's exactly what I was hoping for in this episode. But in this scene, we find out that Sid knows all about Bane, but can't help find him. Unfortunate for our heroes. Anyway, I think the Bad Batch kind of hang around the system because they're on their ship for this entire episode. This is pretty much an Omega story. We find ourselves on Kamino now, where Lama Su is once again talking to Nala Se. Lama Su is pretty pissed off because Nala Se's little clone has caused a lot of trouble for their cloning operation. He pretty much tells Tahnwee, a Kaminoan you might remember from Attack of the Clones, to meet Cad Bane and retrieve Omega from him at a different planet, probably a faraway one. Lama Su also orders Nala Se to exterminate Omega when she has the DNA she needs, but there's an obvious reluctance in her face. I really have to give the animation team credit for this. Showing emotion without words in a way that's not overreactive, it's a far cry from where the animation style used to be. On Cad Bane's ship, Omega's sitting in a cell. Pretty obvious, right? Anyway, Omega manipulates Bane's droid companion Todo. See, his foot got broken in the last episode by Hunter. Actually, Hunter shot Todo instead of Cad Bane. But she convinces Todo to let her out of the cell. They are in space, so she can't exactly leave. She's also a child, so it's not like she's going to go up against Cad Bane. So she does help Todo rebuild his leg. I love how you didn't know if she was actually going to help him or if she's going to try to make a fast one. As she gets closer to completing, the ship lands. Omega turns off Todo, finds and grabs a comlink, all the while Cad Bane isn't hearing her, mind you, and runs for it. Meanwhile, the Bad Batch figure out why the cloners want Omega so much. She had DNA from the first wave of clone troopers. The rest of the clones were slightly altered from Jango Fett's DNA to be obedient and age rapidly. Omega, however, was not. The only other clone like this is, of course, Boba Fett. So, instead of like a clone, she's more of a genetic replication. Kind of a weird way to put it, but think of Star Wars lightsaber toys versus Star Wars lightsaber replicas. So what this means is that her and Boba Fett are the closest thing that the Kaminoans can find to Jango Fett's DNA to make more clones. So what for by this point, I have no idea. Like I said last time, the Empire clearly doesn't want a clone army, so why does his DNA matter anymore? With Lama Su's disregard for Omega, I honestly don't think it does, but I'll get to that in a minute. She calms the boys back on the Marauder, but they can't get a location. Her signal's too weak. Tech tells her to create a power surge so they can get a signal. She goes to the end of this smoky hallway with a door. This hallway seems vaguely familiar, with off-whites and sort of a post-apocalyptic nature. Omega even expresses that this door looks like something from Kamino. But before she can make the efflux of power, Cad Bane shows up, cuffs her, breaks her comlink, and tries to find his contact, Tahnwee, who is evidently dead, killed by Fennec Shand. Shand and Bane have a disposition. Bane is here to take Omega to Lama Su. Fennec is here to take her to Nala Se. Both have differing opinions as to what should happen with Omega, though neither of them know who the other is working for, I think. They find themselves fighting, Omega trying to run away, but neither of them is letting this happen. But she does inch away from them. And it's apparent that this place is an old Kaminoan facility. At first I thought it was the Snoke project, like from Mandalorian. Then I wondered if it could possibly be a different type of clone troopers like in the old EU. Omega is trying to send a signal to her friends when Fennec corners her in this room. She had bested Bane for the moment. She tells Omega that it's not much use to contact them because it'll be too late. Omega asks what the Kaminoans want with her. Fennec says Omega already knows the answer to this. Suddenly Todo comes out of nowhere, but Fennec pretty much kicks him right into one of those glass tubes, cracking it. Just when Shand repeats herself, one of those giant green container tubes falls and breaks. A tall, lanky, long-necked creature comes out of it and falls on Fennec while Omega escapes. I still have no idea what this facility is for, but obviously growing Kaminoans was one thing. So Omega escapes, runs into Cad Bane again, Then he and Fennec have another outburst, leaving Omega to take a leave. She runs into Todo again, but uses his rockets to get into an escape pod type ship. I feel like this droid has been the most useful he's ever been. Probably the most invincible too. Finally, Shan and Bane's fight come to an end, her sending him off the side of the flying facility. He is able to recover and sends Todo to his ship, though his ship isn't working. Fennec sabotaged it. The Bad Batch collect Omega and make a run for it. Omega expresses her worry about being a science experiment. She shows even a little bit of trauma from being in a place like Kamino, where the hallways are white and it all looks the same. I can imagine that experience could be like being in one of those isolation rooms. Hunter assures her that they have her back no matter what, no matter who comes. Omega tells him, "You can't fight them all off." But Hunter comes in closer and says, "You don't have to worry. You're never going back to Kamino." And they make that a promise. On Fennec's ship, she's talking to Nala Se. She offers to go after them with an extra charge, of course. But Nala Se shows some of her true intentions. As long as she's away from Lama Su's grasps, it's fine. It seems as though Omega is more than just an experiment to Nala Se. I could be reading this wrong, but it seems like she's actually grown attached to Omega. I don't think it's in a value sort of way. I think she actually wants to raise Omega, sort of. She just seems to act so weird when it comes to Omega, like she's protecting her in a motherly sort of way. But at the same time, Lama Su can't know this, so she tries to keep her feelings on the down low. Though, like I said, I could be reading the situation wrong. I'm glad we got some answers to why the Kaminoids want Omega and why that is the case, meaning she's the closest thing to Jango Fett that they can find because she's sort of an unaltered clone. But it would be nice to understand their motives, like why they still need Jango's DNA in the first place. Again, as the Empire is trying to get rid of the clone program. My main problem with this episode is honestly Nala Se's plan. Does she even have one? She sends Fennec to kill Taun We, but if she didn't do that, she would have Omega back in her hands, and could potentially make sure she's safe. I guess the potential versus the absolute might be a risk she's willing to take, but it's still sort of weird. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it seemed like Omega got away because of incompetence on the part of the bounty hunters. They were so busy fighting each other that Omega basically upped and walked away, when ultimately they seemed to be attempting to do the same things, get Omega back to Kamino. The other thing I thought was weird was Bane was the one who sort of initiated the fight. They were about to swap the cash Fennec nabbed from Taun We for Omega, but as Todo stole the cash from Fennec, Cad Bane starts shooting at her for no reason. At that point, he could have just taken his cash and left. What was Cad Bane's plan? What was he thinking at that moment? Was he planning to take Omega back to the Kamino himself? Why go through all that trouble when you already have your cash? If I've missed something, please comment down below to tell me. But either way, I love seeing Cad Bane in action again. Not sure how I feel about Fennec, a less experienced bounty hunter, besting Cad Bane, the one who supposedly trained Boba Fett, one of the greatest bounty hunters in the galaxy, and is said to be the greatest bounty hunter in the galaxy in the show. But at least he didn't go down like a total chump. This was a very enjoyable episode. This is one of those that was so fun that it actually felt really short, but you know what they say when you're having fun, am I right? I do wonder where they'll take this show. They did answer a lot of our questions in this part. I'm really excited for more answers and more adventures. If I've missed something, or if there's something you'd like to talk about in this episode, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you like this video, please hit that like button and share this video with your friends. And if you want to stay up to date with a series of reviews, please hit that bell icon. Seriously, all of that will help out this channel. I thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.